You are now tuned in to Go Time Dolphins with Charlie Touche and Kadeem Simmons, the Miami Dolphins podcast that's for the fans and by the fans.
Gotta make them lose their mind when it's your time. And it's show time. Going all out when it's go time. I ain't wasting no time. Gotta make them lose their mind when it's show time. Cause it's your time. Lay it on the line when it's go time. Don't waste no time.
What is good? Hello, everybody. Do not adjust your internet, your YouTube, your Twitter, and if you are listening on Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you get the Go Time Dolphin podcast from, it is just me today. Charlie Touche is unavailable at the moment. He's alive. He's all good. He's not ill. Like Charlie is doing his own thing, and this is not the end of Go Time Dolphins as a partnership. Like Charlie will be back very, very soon. But it's been a while since Charlie, done an episode. We done 2 last week, I think it was. And essentially, if I didn't go live today, then it would be another week. And we didn't want to do that to our loyal fans and listeners. So shout out to everyone joining me in the comments. I'm going to need a lot of help with this episode because it is just me. So it's all about, I guess, keeping me entertained, keeping me talking about Dolphins land. I wasn't going to attempt the intro because I always get it wrong and I don't want to embarrass myself, but I will give it a go. It's Go Time Dolphins, the Miami Dolphins podcast that goes not only across the pond, but across the world. I am your co-host, Kadeem Simmons. There is no Charlie Touche with me. It's always for the fans and by the fans. Your favorite podcast. Yeah, I did it. I am here and I am ready. Shout out to I am Act in the chat. He says, "What's up, Go Time Dolphins, Kadeem, Charlie, and chat." Robert Ashton says, "Hi, I'm Act. What's up, Kadeem, Scarface Simmons, and Charlie, Peaky Blinders Touche." If you haven't watched our annual awards episode, go back and check that out after this. It was so much fun. And yeah, Robert says, Kadeem back to nail the intro solo. Whoop, whoop. I don't know what language that is. It looks like German. I'm not too sure. But yeah, just me today. I don't know how long I'm going to go for. It could be 10 minutes. It could be an hour. Normally, I'm like, I'll go for 10, 20 minutes. And then an hour later, I'm still talking. So much to get through. We are approaching the start of free agency. I believe the franchise tag window is open. Shout out to Hannah Montana. She says hello, husband. Like she's not just behind me. You can see her hand in the background. You can also see voice of the podcast, Jaylen Simmons, sitting there as well. I am at home, as everyone would assume. Also, before I truly do get started, thank you to our 1,901 subscribers. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, it will be greatly appreciated if you do so right now as we continue or start the road to 2,000 subs. And also, you probably noticed that there's adverts on GTD. We finally, after genuinely over a year of trying to be monetized on YouTube, it's finally happened. So we are growing, we are getting bigger, we are getting better. So yeah, Robert says, "Is that maths on pause in the background?" It is. It is the Real Housewives of Potomac. Where is Potomac?
Maryland in America.
Maryland in America. I didn't even know that place existed. And yeah, do have to catch up on love. Listen, you guys are going to distract me from actual Dolphin stuff. So I thought, top of the episode, we will speak about. I don't know where this started. I don't know why this started. And there's probably a reason why Mike Tannenbaum is no longer a GM in the NFL. I think we should do an episode on is he the worst GM in Dolphins history. But I believe it was last week. Mike Tannenbaum. No, it was yesterday. Yesterday, he was on, it was like ESPN, this Make Me a Trade segment. I don't watch ESPN, but that segment might come on to GTD. Mike Tannenbaum, Make Me a Trade. Trent McDuffie to the Dolphins for Jaylen Waddle. Listen, Trent McDuffie is an ascending corner in the league on the back of what must have back-to-back Super Bowls for him. He definitely got one, obviously. And it's arguable whether the Dolphins need corner help. That's something I know for a fact myself and Charlie will get into when he makes it back on the pod. But yeah, this trade, obviously, the picture circulated on social media, and unsurprisingly, there were some Dolphin fans saying, well, yeah, because obviously everyone's entitled to an opinion. It is what it is. The Dolphins fans were saying that he's always injured, he has drop issues, and if you can trade him now, get a first, a second, a Trent McDuffie, then why wouldn't you do it? Shout out to Tyreek Hill. He tweeted, I'm all the way in Greece right now, and I get on Twitter to see people talking crazy about Dolphin football. My boy Waddle is the future. He is better than I was at this point in his career, and for people in his fan base to want to trade him is ludicrous. Him and Tua were special before me and will be special after I leave. Waddle's had, 3 years in the NFL? Look, the rookie reception record in his first, obviously as a rookie. And I believe he's gone over 1,000. Yeah, he's gone over 1,000 yards in every season he's been in the NFL. Has he been banged up? Yes. Has he always given 100%? Yes. Is he the best catcher on the team? No. But will he improve? Yes. The Dolphins in the Super Bowl window in this wanting to be, great, not just this season, but for the next 10, 15, 20 years. You don't get rid of a piece like Jaylen Waddle. You just don't do it. He's still in his rookie contract, so you've got him for cheap for essentially the next 2 years. Next year is his 4th year, and then obviously you can 5th year option him because he was a first round pick, or you could and then franchise tag him. Like the Dolphins have him under control for at least the next 3 years. That's the very least. So that's the first thing. But he's a number one, in my opinion. He's a number one receiver playing, as a number 2 because you got Tyreek Hill. But we saw this Dolphins offense this season and last season as well. You take away a Tyreek Hill or a Jaylen Waddle, and the offense just isn't the same. While you still got Tyreek Hill, it makes no sense to get rid of Jaylen Waddle. Obviously, and this goes to every single Dolphin on the roster. Everyone has a price. When the Texans gave up 2 first, a second, and a third for Laramie Tunsil, you have to get rid of Laramie Tunsil. Like that's just an insane offer. This is real life. This isn't Madden. If Chicago gives you, the first overall pick this year and a first round pick next year, and something else for Jaylen Waddle, then yeah, you take it. But we don't live in this obscene Madden world where you're going to get that kind of offer. And genuinely, I think both the Dolphins and the Chiefs will say no to that trade. The fact that Mike Tannenbaum even mentioned it gets clicked, it gets people talking. But no, it's absolutely insane. Jaylen Waddle, if he continues this trajectory and stays majority, if he stays healthy for the majority of his career, he'll be in Miami. Like, there's really no need to get rid of him unless the Dolphins want to completely blow it up and it's like, you know what, we'll get a first-round pick for him. Hopefully that doesn't happen. The Dolphins win multiple Super Bowls, all the good stuff. Robert Ashton said, Waddle didn't have his best season. Question is, what would we receive the improvement? What is the risk reward? Risk reward. And again, that's a great shout. If the Dolphins somehow are able to get a Marvin Harrison Jr., many believe he's the best wide receiver in this class, and the Dolphins have an option to get him. I still say no, because then you just put Tyreek Hill, Jaylen Waddle, and Marvin Harrison Jr. on the field. And when Tyreek Hill leaves in the next 2 to 3 years, then you've got Jaylen Waddle and Marvin Harrison Jr. Listen, I became a Dolphins fan, and the wide receivers I was watching at the time was Kenny Stills, Devontae Parker. Who else was around at that time? My mind's gone blank already. This is really embarrassing. But the Dolphins just didn't have a Jaylen Waddle until Jaylen Waddle actually arrived. And I think at that point, it's just a matter of, you keep and you extend your your stars. We're not going to get to Christian Wilkins just yet, but shout out to Douglas Dewong. He done a video, I believe it was last week, talking about the Dolphins should extend Jaylen Waddle this year and not wait until next year. And if you haven't checked the video out again, go check it after you've watched this. Stay here, stay with me, keep me company. Shout out to the guys in the comments who are doing that right now, and Hannah, the girls. But yeah, his argument was, if you extend him now, you essentially save yourself around 5 million. He used multiple examples where teams waited until like they were kind of left with no choice but to extend the wide receiver. I think he used AJ Green and someone else. Doug, apologies for not remembering the exact examples you used. But essentially, he was saying, if he's going to cost you, and I'll make up the figure, if he's going to cost you 13 million this year, you wait another year, has another 1,000 yard season, continues to improve, it's going to be 17 million next year. And essentially coming off a injury-riddled season, you might be able to get somewhat of a hometown discount. You can kind of essentially spring it. You know, if you're Chris Grier, you can turn around and say to him, well, what we'll do is tie you down long term now. We will show you that, you know, we invest in you, we want to keep you, want to build around you. And then, you know, over the next 4, 5, 6 years, you have him on team-friendly deals. So that is an option. You know, just any talk of trading Jaylen Waddle is absolutely nonsensical. And as you know, as Tyreek Hill says, Waddle and Tua were special before Tyreek Hill arrived, especially go back to the Alabama days. They'll be special after. If the Dolphins can find a third target, be it a tight end, be it another wide receiver, since you don't two options, you really have to be fair. But if they can find a reliable third receiver next to Hill and Waddle, it just allows Waddle to go off even more. And, you know, anyone in the comments can turn around and say, well, that makes no sense because it's an extra mouth to fill, extra mouth to feed. You're obviously trying to get Tyreek Hill to that, you know, 2,000 yard marker. Waddle is going to get 1,000 yards. You know, you add someone else, it takes away. But part of the reason the Dolphins struggled down the stretch is that with Hill injured and Waddle injured, no one else was really able to step up. Durham Smythe done his best. Obviously, you got Braxton Barrios. You had Robbie Chosen. You took got Cedric Wilson Jr. But having a reliable third target just allows defenses to play you differently. You can't double team Waddle or double team Hill, and like, especially if you're a team like the Ravens where you've got a Carl Hamilton, you've got a. They don't have Marlon Humphrey. Who is the Ravens cornerback? His name escapes me at the moment. I apologize for that. But yeah, it's difficult to scheme against a team where they have, again, say in this scenario, the Dolphins bring in, is it Juwan Jennings who is at the Chiefs? My mind's gone blank. Guys, apologies, guys. See, this is where me and Charlie, we need each other because Charlie will know, and if he doesn't, I could, you know, fact check, stat check, which I still can do now, to be fair, but I am not going to. I am on a roll. But yeah, it's the Dolphins managed to find a young Gabe Davis. The Dolphins bring in Gabe Davis from Buffalo. How do you stop Tyreek Hill, Jaylen Waddle, and Gabe Davis, let alone Devon A-Chain in the backfield? You just can't. Guys will be even more open than they already are. And an even more open Jaylen Waddle is a scary thought for the defense. So, again, shout out to Robert Ashton. He says, always the tricky thing, guess that GMs get the big bucks, tie a player to a contract too soon, and they don't live up to expectations, or they lack the motivation because they have a contract. And I understand that. That is true. Some players, I'm sure people would point that finger at a few Miami players over the last few years who have got a contract, and you haven't really seen, you know, the play they showed before the contract. You haven't really seen that since. I also think I guess for some, it will kind of settle them in terms of they don't need to worry about the future in 2, 3, 4 years. Listen, it doesn't mean they won't get traded. You know, some players get a contract and then the next year they're gone because, circumstances change. But for the most part, some people just like that, like being settled. And again, it's a show of faith. It's the Dolphins saying to Jaylen Waddle, "We believe in you, we trust you, we want you to be here for a long term." Um, Not to mention, if the Dolphins can, I believe we discussed this briefly before, the Dolphins are over the cap as it stands. Even if the cap does come in at what 250 million, I think it might be. You extend to extending Jaylen Waddle just allows you to, keep the cap down so you can bring back a Christian Wilkins, you can perhaps bring back Andrew Van Ginkel, Connor Williams, all of these guys who, again, the Dolphins are in a really, really difficult spot where they will believe they should have won the AFC East, but they didn't. They win the AFC East, they have a home game. Who knows how far they go? So you want to bring back as many people as you can. Again, Wilkins, Connor Williams, friend of the podcast, Robert Hunt. Obviously, we know we've been extended. Friend of the podcast, Austin Jackson, but all of these guys. And again, it's extending Jaylen Waddle says to the rest of the roster. And again, you can't extend everyone. You might have to extend Jaylen Waddle and lose Christian Wilkins. The chances are they probably wait to extend Jaylen Waddle because it's not a pressing need right now. And they might turn around and say, listen, saving X amount this year, we're willing to pay even more next year because, Tyreek Hill might be gone or X might be gone or whatever you get. Again, even next year, say the Dolphins do wait and, they lose out on that $4 million saving, but the contract or the cap goes up by $4 million next year, it even to balance itself out. So who knows? But I really wish I got myself a drink because when you're talking by yourself, your mouth starts to get dry. Listen, if you're still here with me right now, I greatly appreciate you. Make sure you like the video. If you haven't already, make sure you drop a subscription. Again, if you haven't already, follow us on the socials, Instagram, Twitter. What else we have? Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And if you're feeling extra generous around the start of 2024, although we're already in February, then yeah, go give us a subscription on Patreon. We are doing more stuff. Literally, I haven't even eaten since I got home yet, but once I finish this, I will be jumping on Patreon. Got 2 to 3 videos planned with the help of some of our patrons giving me some great ideas. So I look forward to it. But yeah, Jaylen Waddle, I didn't think I would have to do an episode, either not just by myself, but with Charlie, talking about should the Dolphins, not trade Jaylen Waddle. The insane one, it's insane in my opinion, and one I 100% will not do without Charlie, but I will mention it now. Someone tweeted, oh, look at that. I don't need a Coke because I'm going to start burping, but I do have a glass of water from Hannah Montana. Literally, Robert, she's done it already. I have, you also saw it on screen. This is my cup from the Dolphins Chiefs game. So appreciate that. Thank you very much. Give me 2 seconds. Refreshing water. So yeah, I won't discuss it this week. But again, someone tweeted, and it must have been yesterday as well. Let's have a look. Where's it gone? So many group chats. Yeah, it was yesterday. Would you trade Tua and Tyreek for first overall and select Caleb Williams? That is a conversation between myself and Charlie. I believe that we might be getting PFF's Tom Valentine to discuss that with us. We have a difference of opinion, and spoiler alert, me and him do not agree. Robert Ashton said he had that cup. Also, Robert, you were with me in Germany. We did not sit together, but it was great to meet you in Germany. Next year in Spain, 2025, if you are out there, or if anyone is out there, because I certainly will be, regardless of what Hannah Montana says, I'll be in Spain next year if the Dolphins are, and I would love to do a Go Time Dolphins meet up. But yes, there are some insane draft or insane trade speculations. Not even speculation, just people. Listen, we haven't reached June, July yet, and it feels like people especially on like national media, which I don't understand. But it does feel like people are talking like there's nothing else to talk about. Listen, you can still review the season. It only finished a couple of weeks ago. You can talk about off-season needs. You can talk about, you know, who should go where in free agency. Talk about the draft. You don't need to talk about Dolphins trading Tyreek Hill and Tua for Caleb Williams or Jaylen Waddle to the Chiefs. Like, it's not even worth me. Sorry, 100. It's not even worth essentially trying to find the perfect trade partner for Jaylen Waddle. That makes no sense. Um, Shout out to 5 Yard Lee from the Dolphin UK podcast. Had a conversation with him on Sunday where we spoke about a trade partner for Xavier Howard. Nice little segue there. See, I can do this by myself, but I do miss you, Charlie. Can't wait to get you back on here soon. So, Xavier Howard, I believe, done an interview somewhere. I want to fact check this. And again, if you are listening on Spotify or Apple Music, as I mentioned earlier, as I'm sure you've already guessed by now, it is just me today. Charlie is currently unavailable, but he will be back very, very, very soon. And again, he's not ill or anything. He's just we haven't done a podcast or an episode since last week, and if I didn't do one today, again, it wouldn't be till next week. You guys have been patient with us. You guys, have supported us for years, going on essentially 5 years now. And it's only right we give back and essentially, jump online and stuff like that. So, and plus, maybe it shows, not even shows, it highlights why, me and Charlie are so great at what we do. And as Charlie says, your favorite podcast. But Xavier Howard on Instagram posted a video of Usher. That's still not best halftime show, but no one really truly believes that. Usher basically says, sometimes you got to leave, sometimes you have to go away from home in order to be truly valued and appreciated. Now, as far as everyone knows, Xavier Howard hasn't asked to be traded away from the Dolphins, and the Dolphins haven't exactly offered him to take a salary cut. And this will be something I discussed with Charlie, because me and Charlie genuinely do differ on Xavier and Howard. I'm of the belief that you probably could keep him around for another year, but won't be upset if he leaves. Xavier and Howard, let's have a look. Cap hit of 25.9 mil in 2024. If he is released or leaves, we'll go with released. If he leaves post June 1st, the Dolphins save $18.5 million. If he goes before then, it's something like a 2 million cap saving and like 12 plus mil in dead cap. Listen, me and Charlie have had plenty of conversations. Again, going back years. One of the conversations myself and Charlie had was we truly believed that, we not even believed, we had this just, I guess, fantasy of the Dolphins bringing in Derek Stingley Jr. as a replacement for Xavier Howard. It didn't pan out. Derek Stingley Jr. is with Houston. Xavier Howard is still on the team. Then it's like, okay, well, they brought in Noah Igbenogany, who's going to be the long-term replacement for Xavier Howard. That didn't pan out. Then they bring in Cam Smith, and everyone says he's a bust because he didn't play. It appears he just didn't see eye to eye with Vic Fangio, to put it mildly, or to put it nicely, I guess. And yeah, Vic Fangio's gone. Cam Smith is still here. Cam Smith is working hard to show everyone why not only is he a second-round pick, but why he was on Touche's 24. But yeah, Xavier Howard's 31. Like, again, shout out to 5 Yard Lee. He is of the belief, and many others agree or have said, that if the Dolphins move on from X, they will bring in another veteran replacement. The Dolphins probably don't want to be in a place where they have Jalen Ramsey and Cam Smith on the outside because you just don't know what you're going to get from Cam Smith. And that's largely in part to him not playing last year when there was not so much ample opportunity, but ample reason for him playing essentially Eli Watson Apple. But we'll get into that another time. Robert Ashton says the great egg debate. That's a 2-hour show if ever I've seen one, and we will have a debate. If not over here on YouTube, over here on Patreon. Shout out to me plugging the Patreon. He then says, "Gonna hang my hat on X goes before the season." I potentially believe that as well. IMAX then says, X has turned into Armstead. The best ability is availability. 100%. If X leaves, can we trade him? Is he tradable? Me and 5 Yard Lee believe yes, because there will always be a team who needs corner help. We was kind of discussing where could he go, and I said Houston. I can't off the top of my head remember who the corner is opposite Derek Stingley Jr. But Houston just made the playoffs. Obviously, lost to the Browns in the first or in the wild card. But if you can get one more year out of Xavier Howard, you're not paying your quarterback because he just drives on a rookie contract. There's probably not going to be many veteran corners better than Xavier Howard in free agency. And again, let's be brutally honest. The Dolphins will be lucky to get a third for a 31-year-old corner on the decline and on a lot of money. So again, what myself and 5 Yard Lee were saying that in our perfect draft, first round you go O-line, second round you probably go O-line as well. You didn't have right now. You don't have a third round pick, but all of a sudden you have a third round pick to use on corner, tight end, edge rusher, all of that kind of stuff. Again, myself and Charlie will delve into mock drafts. If you was around last year, then you know how deep myself and Charlie, dive. I've been trying to find these for a week. If you're listening on audio, these are Apple AirPods. I have been trying to find these for days. I could not find them. They were on my desk. My desk is a mess. I have an empty can of Pringles because I love it. Why am I giving Pringles a shout out like they sponsored the podcast? I have a Miami Dolphins mug by what is the company called at the moment? I think it's still called Custom Mugs. But yeah, shout out to Custom Mugs. I'll double check that as well. Miami Dolphins, John Baker. Another one who might be gone this offseason, but we will discuss that as well. But yeah, I've also got my custom scuff control PS5. But yeah. So Xavier Howard, third round pick to Houston or elsewhere. I just think that IMAX says restructure his contract and send him. David could do that. I think if they restructure his contract, they'll probably just keep him. There was talk before the end of or at the end of the season where I think X was asked about taking a pay cut. And he was kind of like, I ain't taking a pay cut. And again, why? Or restructuring his contract. And again, why would you? Like, you signed a contract. He's going to make him honor his contract. I think that kind of went it kind of rubbed a lot of Dolphin fans the wrong way because, again, as Charlie will 100% point out, they stood by him, they paid him, and most of the year down the stretch, Xavier Howard's been injured, which isn't ideal. Also, IMAX, he had the Xbox equivalent of the scuff. I need a new one. And I'm telling you, heard that my R2 trigger is really loose. You kind of hear it. And I've got a lot of bad stick drift. But yeah, we can do PlayStation Talk another day or controller talk another day. But yeah, Robert Ashton says the new DC will make the final decision. Yes, that new DC is obviously Anthony Weaver. I'm not speaking out of turn. I would love to get Kevin Dern on the show to speak defense and Anthony Weaver. Shout out to Kevin Dern over there at Dolphins Talk. He had a new episode, I think came out today being Wednesday, about the DC. So go check that out as well. Listen, very, very quickly, I haven't got into it yet, but the whole Twitter/Dolphins content beef between Dudley Do Wrong and people who I'm not even going to name because they just don't deserve that. Sorry, 2 seconds. Oh god. Yeah, Charlie, this is why I need you back because I'm just distracted by why on my chin. I don't want to play my PlayStation. Right, guys, bear me 2 seconds. So yes, where was I? You done from corner? Yes, Twitter beef. So listen, we are all about collaboration and growing together on YouTube, Twitter, all that kind of stuff. So me saying I want Kevin Dunn, same old Dolphins, Dudley Do Wrong, all the greats, it's way too many to mention. Shout out to Color Commentary over at Finn's Tailgate. Shout out to El Capitan over at Finn's Tailgate. Shout out to, if you're a Dolphins creator or a fan and you want to chop up myself and Charlie, let us know in the comments. We'll be more than welcome to bring you one. There was so much time over the off season to talk about the team, the Dolphins. But yeah, shout out to Tim Cavo. Says you guys bossed the mock draft last year. I've done one mock draft so far this year. And the Dolphins have a first, a second, a fifth, sixth, and seventh round pick. I ended up with 12 picks because I just kept on trading back. And I don't think the Dolphins will do that in real life. But the Dolphins need to get more picks. And one way of getting them is by trading someone like Xavier Howard. Robert Ashton says, have you seen the new guy on Dolphin Talk does clock blockers? I guess watch this space, aka Watch Friday. I think someone from GTD is making an appearance on clock blockers. You heard it here first. IMAX says Brady was a 6th rounder and Purdy was Mr. Irrelevant, so third round isn't bad. Listen, not at all. As Charlie likes to say quite a lot as well, first and second round should be, can't miss starters. Like the guys you take in the first and second round should be playing within the first 2 years, and they should be studs. They should be blue chip players. Everyone kind of knows that. I guess third and fourth, and to a lesser extent, fifth round are, solid depth players. You obviously want to try and hit on a stud, someone who. Just think of an example for the Dolphins who've taken the third, fourth, or fifth of the last few years. Why my mind going blank at the worst possible time? Solomon Kinley was a 4th round pick, and myself and Charlie believe he should have stuck around, but it is what it is. But to be fair to Chris Grier, even though I can't remember, he has a pretty solid, let me double check this. I really should know. Apologies, guys. Miami Dolphins 3rd round draft picks. Let's have a look. Wasn't Devon A-Chain a 3rd round pick? Yeah. Kadeem. Devon A-Chain of Touche 24. 3rd round pick. Looks like one of the best running backs in the league. So 100%. Yeah, Tim Cava says AVG was 5th round. I believe so. Tag on the bottle of the mug, which I never noticed before, says Premier Porcelain. Difficult to see. But yeah, thanks for that. Shout out to Sea Devil, says Kurt Warner was undrafted. Yes, he was. More recently, obviously, Nick Needham, he was undrafted. Zach Thomas in the Hall of Fame, he was undrafted. Sorry, 5th round. Apologies. Zach Thomas was in the 5th round. So yeah, getting a 3rd round pick for Xavier Howard, they can turn that into 100% a starter. 100%. You find all it takes is one player to fall when you get him in the 3rd round, and you are laughing. So yeah, 3rd round pick for Xavier Howard. Use it on tight end, edge rusher, whatever you want, and hopefully you get a solid starter round pick. But again, myself and Charlie will talk about Xavier Howard and what to do there. I guess before I definitely leave, Well, they've ever just go into bonus time. Christian Wilkins. So Christian Wilkins is eligible for the franchise tag. Are a lot of Dolphin players, to be fair, but as of me going live right now and talking to you live, and hopefully if you're still listening, he hasn't been placed or hasn't been handed the franchise tag. 13th overall pick in the 2019 draft, and I believe he was the first pick of the Chris Grier truly as GM GM era. What do the Dolphins do when it comes to Christian Wilkins? Listen, Christian, the cap going up potentially to 250 mil basically allows for many people allow the Dolphins to franchise tag Christian Wilkins at the very least. I've seen a lot of people turn around and say that for the money Christian Wilkins wants, the production just isn't there, and that's understandable. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. People saying that, Zach Sealer and Christian Wilkins have very similar production in this, in the defense, playing right next to each other, and Zach Sealer was on a fraction of the amount that Christian Wilkins won. The contract that Christian Wilkins, the contract that Zach Sealer signed is between him, his agent, and the Dolphins. Had nothing to do with Christian Wilkins and what he believes he is worth. But yeah, Robert says, Rob, apologies. Has a lot of suggestions for the non-exclusive franchise tag. So, just so I don't look like an absolute idiot, the non-exclusive tag in the NFL, this is where my brain goes blank. So, and again, there's not even any suggestion to say that Christian Wilkins would play on the tag. But people, do believe that Christian Wilkins might be given the non-exclusive franchise tag. So, definition: non-exclusive franchise tag means, what is it? Oh no, that is isn't. My mind's going completely blank. I apologize for that. But yeah, thanks, Tim. Where you can speak to other teams. So yeah, the non-exclusive franchise tag allows Christian Wilkins to speak to other teams, find out his value while also still being with the Dolphins. And is the non-exclusive tag the one where the Dolphins can match the contract, and if they don't, they get something in return? Again, Charlie, where are you? Where I need you, as my mouth is dry. And also, guys, the 5 guys arrived.
Yeah.
I've got 5 guys, but I'm still going to keep them recording because I love you guys so much. Sips water, greatly needed. But yeah, as Robert Ashton also says, yes, a non-exclusive franchise tag means the Dolphins put it on him, but he signs elsewhere. They get a first-round pick in return, which obviously for the Dolphins is the best possible scenario if you aren't going to keep him. Tim Carroll says he can be tagged and try to find other teams, or we can continue to try and get a deal, then take it back if deal done or want to release. Hannah Montana is yes. I know 5 guys. I'll be there shortly. Christian Wilkins in an off-season/season where the Dolphins are potentially losing Emmanuel Ogbah. I'm pretty sure Raekwon Davis leaves, but you could probably bring him back for a team-friendly deal. Probably going to lose Andrew Van Ginkel to free agency. And you got Jalen Phillips and friend of the podcast, Bradley Chubb, returning from, serious knee injuries of Jalen Phillips. Chubb is a knee injury, Phillips is the ACL. No, Achilles injury, apologies. Yeah, in a season where there's too many question marks on the defensive line, it does make sense to find a way to bring back at least Christian Wilkins, keep some continuity. And I think a lot of people rightfully pointed out that in the Anthony Weaver introductory press conference, he named a number of Dolphins players who are going to be in the team next year, but named Christian Wilkins as someone he's looking forward to working with. And people were like, well, why would he say that if he's leaving? Weaver could just be saying that because he wants to keep him. But we remain to see what happens. I personally believe the Dolphins do keep Christian Wilkins in house. Again, I think the contract extension of Tua, the cap going up, and other moves elsewhere will mean that the Dolphins do bring back Christian Wilkins. I've also said that the Dolphins, if they were left with a choice between Van Ginkel and Wilkins, I think they bring back Van Ginkel. And again, for the reasons I mentioned earlier, Chubb and Phillips are coming back, are returning off injuries. You don't know when they're going to be back. Maybe October. Best case scenario, September, August. But you just don't know. Van Ginkel allows you to have a premier, a top class edge rusher. Week one. And just allow Chubb and Phillips to return when they're ready. It's probably a reason why you do retain friend of the podcast, Emmanuel Ogba. You probably just restructure his contract if possible. Tim says Wilkins, high first round pick at start of the rebuild, had become one of the best players in position. Done exactly what we want him to. Not paying him looks bad on Miami. And again, I agree. Not just Miami, but I'm sure fans as well said, IMAX, all good. Thanks for joining us so far. Hope your little brother's okay. Tell him Kadeem from GTD says, what's up? Yeah. Fans were like, well, Christian Wilkins needs to get more sacks. He done exactly that. He held up his end of the bargain. His play improved year on year. And again, myself and Charlie have said over and over again, in the best case scenario, going back to last year with Mike Gesicki, you win the Super Bowl and you can say to Christian Wilkins, Joe, go get your bread, go get your money. You've got a ring, enjoy yourself. It didn't happen. But yeah, I do think the Dolphins retain Wilkins for the reasons I mentioned earlier. But who knows? Listen, guys, I'm going to jump into bonus time. 45 minutes by myself talking is quite impressive. Didn't think I would last that long. That's what she said. But also, just greatly appreciated for everyone who's stuck around so far. Hopefully, I will see you in bonus time for Kadeem Simmons. Shout out to Charlie Touche. Thank you for tuning in this time. Make sure you catch us next time on Go Times. I'm not going to do that already because I just don't have the accent, but see you in a sec. Peace.
Gotta make them lose their mind when it's your time. And it's showtime. Going all out when it's go time. I ain't wasting no time. Gotta make them lose their mind when it's showtime. Cause it's your time. Lay it on the line when it's go time. Don't waste no time. Gotta make them lose their mind when it's your time. And it's showtime. Going all out when it's go time. I ain't wasting no time.
I forgot to stay positive, test negative. That's the one I tend to always miss when I do the outro. So thanks for mentioning it. Charlie will be like, see, I told you. Listen, I nailed the intro. That's all I care about. I guess, you know what? As these muggers here right next to me, Jerome Baker. Again, in a conversation I had with 5 Yard Lee on Sunday, he was saying that Jerome Baker in that Bills game, I believe it was, kind of showed just how vital he is to this team. The difference shown when he's not on the field, regardless of what you think of him as a player, he makes an impact on this team. Anthony Weaver might feel that he can go get a linebacker in free agency, maybe a Patrick Queen. That's definitely an episode we will do in the near future. And maybe it's a case of, you try and restructure Jerome Baker to save yourself some cap, to make moves elsewhere, or maybe you find a trade partner. Because again, it's Jerome Baker has speed which you can't coach, if that makes sense. It does make sense. And he's made impact plays in Miami. Enough for people or enough for fans? No. He was a second round pick. Was he second round pick? Raekwon McMillan was a second round pick. Jerome Baker was also sneaky old. He's 27, which isn't old, but you know what I mean. Jerome Baker, Ohio State University linebacker, taken in the third round. There you go. Another reason to get another third round pick. Jerome Baker, third round pick. Listen, when we talk about what we expect from third round picks, it's still at the very least be a depth player. Jerome Baker has gone above and beyond his draft capital, in my opinion. He earned a second contract in Miami, Hard Rock Stadium. And I think some people kind of forget that he was a third round pick. He wasn't a first round pick or a second round pick. He was a day 2 pick. What pick exactly was he? He was pick number 73. And if Charlie was here, I would ask him who was taken before and after him. I doubt he knows that. We're looking at some of the players. Okay, what doesn't help is that 2 picks earlier, the 49ers picked Fred Warner, who is the best linebacker in the league. Can't think of many better than Fred Warner. So the 49ers draft Fred Warner, the Dolphins draft Jerome Baker. The rest is history. But looking at some of the players the Dolphins could have taken had they gone elsewhere, Malik Jefferson, Orlando Brown Jr. would have been a great shot, to be fair. Tackle. That would have been a great pick. Michael Gallup was on the board, as was Mark Andrews, sorry. Oren Burks, the linebacker, Green Bay. So yeah, obviously there were players. And yeah, seeing Fred Warner go 2 picks earlier, but he wasn't on the board when the Dolphins picked him. The Dolphins did the best they could, and I think he has more than, like I said, outplayed his draft capital. David Long Jr. is in the building, obviously. Who knows what we get from Channing Tindall? He was a second round pick, and he's someone who is now or never. Again, maybe we can put him not playing last year down to Vic Fangio just not liking him / not trusting him. But this is what he's third defensive coordinator in as many years. It's somewhat of a whole new system, give or take. Channing Tindall, as of right now, is essentially a draft bust because he just hasn't been able to get on the field. But who knows? But yeah, Jerome Baker. Where do I see Jerome Baker? I think he stays. I think the Dolphins find a way. I say find a way to keep him. He's under contract, so they don't need to do anything. But I think they find a way to move money around to keep him in the building. Doesn't mean they won't draft Patrick Queen. Bring in Patrick Queen in free agency, or anyone else, trade for a linebacker. The one thing about the Ravens is that they have stud linebackers going all the way. I say all the way back in my lifetime, going back to obviously Ray Lewis. Look, Miami. I don't know, like some people aren't listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, but yeah, I think the Dolphins will do something at linebacker. But again, it's the Dolphins at the time of recording aren't flush with cap space and aren't flush with draft capital. So I guess, why move on from Jerome Baker when you need to address the offensive line? When you are going to find a safety to play next to Javon Holland. Friend of the podcast, Javon Holland, be it friend of the podcast on Brandon Jones, be it do they bring back Deshaun Elliott? Do they go and get Geno Smith, who obviously has Geno Smith? Oh my days. Geno Stone from Baltimore, who's a free agent and obviously has experience, not only in the system because he's from Baltimore, but obviously with Anthony Weaver, who was in Baltimore last year. So listen, Jerome Baker, for my pound, will be a Miami Dolphin week 1 of the NFL. But I am not a betting man, so I could be totally wrong. Listen, guys, generally, thank you so much for sticking with me for the past 53 minutes, give or take, intro, all that kind of stuff. It's been fun. As always, I say I'll be 10, 20 minutes, go for around an hour. Hopefully next time I am on, I will have the host of the show, Charlie Touche, with me. Maybe I feel frisky before the end of the week and I do another live episode. Although Friday will be the most likely time, and Friday I want to go cinema to watch the new Demon Slayer season start. At the very least, I am scheduled to appear on the Clock Blockers YouTube show on Friday. I believe it is 11 a.m. Eastern, which is about 4 p.m. UK time. 4 p.m. Yes, 4 p.m. UK time. So if you don't see me on GTD before then, 100% make sure you are subscribed, not just to Go Time Dolphins, but to dolphinstalk.com as well over on YouTube. Same old Dolphins, Kevin Dern, Biggie, and obviously, Clock Blockers as well. So I might return soon by myself. If not, I'll be back with Charlie. Maybe we have a guest, who knows. And if you aren't subscribed on Patreon, then I guess I will see you on the next one. Peace.